Yo, what's up, fam? It's your boy, E.T. Hey, y'all been seeing these videos I've been doing where I've been like, what do you want? What do you need? Right? And so, got some feedback. And so for the S2S podcast, we're gonna remove it from its current home, right? And we're gonna put it, on its own page, right? So you can do what? Have clear access, a clear path to get everything you need. So do me a favor, don't embarrass me now. All right, so we're about to separate it, and we're gonna separate it for you, but make sure you use it. Stop what you're doing right now. Don't be like me. You're going through your phone a year later trying to find somebody's name because you didn't stop right then and put it in. So go to S2S podcast channel right now, all right? Click that link, get over there, get subscribed so that everything we got going, announcements, reward, everything is gonna come directly to you, all right? So stop what you're doing right now and go sign up. No, I mean right now. Like right now.
Can't nobody tell me nothing, bro, when it comes to discipline, when it comes to commitment, because I know how hard, how painful, how agonizing it was. And for a long time, because I wrestled for so long, I felt like, yo, God, you breaking my heart. And God was like, I'm not breaking your heart, I'm building your soul. Like I'm trying to do something deeper inside you. And my pops, one time I was talking to my pops was like, do you know how a potter takes a clay bowl and turns it into a clay plate? I was like, no. He was like, he has to take that clay bowl and he has to break it and he has to crush it. Then he has to put it in a mill where you grind it to where it's like saw and dust. And then you mix water in it and then you reshape it and remold it. And he was like, right now you're reshaped and remolded into like this vase now, but it's gotta go through the fire to be seared. And so my pops was like, this season you're going through, God has been broke you, he done been humbled you. I went from having too much money to barely able to pay my bills and get by. You know what I'm saying? He's like, he broke you, he crushed you, but now he done poured his spirit upon you. He's reshaped you and you feel like you this new person, but you're struggling internally. He's putting you through the fire so that you can be seared and hardened in him. So now I'm Teflon.
Success podcast, baby.
What's going on, world? Welcome to another edition of the Secret to Success podcast. You ready? Oh, you good? Oh yeah. No, we like that. A little ghetto.
Yeah, we like that. Yeah.
Hey, I love it. Like on our pod, we just used to being a little. Y'all, I like it though. Y'all like a little bit more. You know what I'm saying?
No,
got a little bit more structure to the team.
I like the flow.
You know what I'm saying? Carl ghetto. You know what I'm saying? He just be letting us do whatever.
But yesterday when I was doing 10s, folks was ringing the doorbell. They was walking. They was bringing Uber Eats in. I was like. But it really gives that, bro, we at the crib.
Oh, we at the crib. I mean, now you might not know it from the aesthetics.
Right.
You might think we at the 4. You might think we at the 5 seasons.
Right.
Not even the 4.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, it's just everything.
Let's go.
It's just everything.
Let's go.
For sure.
We are recording live from Atlanta, Georgia, in the house of my brother Jeremy. Appreciate you having us in the crib,
Absolutely.
by the way. If y'all wondering, yes, I did fire Carl, E, and Maul.
Wow.
They got a new podcast. This the new family.
We're the new squad.
You know what I'm saying?
Gang.
Welcome. No, man, shout out to the fellas. They'll be back next week. But I did, have some stuff on my heart, and I wanted to get y'all in because I just believe that the stuff I wanted to talk about today, both of you are uniquely qualified to talk about. And as you know, Jeremy and I obviously known each other forever, and Jess and I get closer over the years, and got to spend a little time together in Europe. You know what I'm saying? Just took a little family trip with the Quinnies, you know what I'm saying, around to all the sites.
It's beautiful.
And let me say this, man. America catch a lot of flack, and probably rightfully so. But let me say this. One thing we are doing well is like spatial awareness. Yeah, like I really feel like we got that on lock. Let me tell y'all something. If you live in London, Paris, them type of places, it's called like a 3 feet rule. You know what I'm saying? When I get on the subway, the bus. Let me tell you something. And I used to live in Paris, but I forgot.
Yeah.
Buddy done came, bruh, the whole subway empty. I'm standing right here. Buddy done came and grabbed the thing and had his pick right about 3 inches from, bruh. I said, okay, bruh. Now, look, you in violation now. But we are doing spatial, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to say that. There's a lot of things we lagging behind in, maybe technology, some other things. But in terms of giving me a little space, bro, I just feel like we got that on lock. But it was good. You know, Jess saw me a couple times looking like, hold on, man, what's going on? Anyway, let me get right to it because y'all know Jeremy. Jeremy is family. Jess, why don't you tell him, first of all, she's from Michigan, so.
Yeah, what up, though? What up, though?
So, you know what I'm saying?
Come on, we winning. It's our winning season.
But tell them just a tad bit about who you are before we get into this discussion today.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Michigan. I live in Atlanta now, better known as America's Big Sister, because if you know me for more than 5 minutes, I instantly feel like your big sister. And honestly, I'm on God's assignment. Like, I was put on this earth to bring hope to the next generation, and I'm locked in and focused and honored to be here with you guys.
Yeah. And she's hella modest. So I got to brag on her since she's not
please.
herself.
Please.
First off, she beat a competition in Detroit out of 1,500 women who were trying to be the face of a major news network.
Yeah.
So 1,500 people. She beat them out.
Come on.
So she a beast. Don't play with it. You know what I'm saying? And became the face of a news network on TV every day. And after years of a successful career, traveling, speaking, God was like, quit this.
Quit this little job. Quit this little job.
Because, like, you know, a major market, like the next step is, you know, CNN or Fox News or MSNBC or something, right? But for her to say, nope, I'm going to quit, and God telling me to move to Atlanta, foreign city, and become a speaker. But now you look up and, you know, traveling the globe, you know what I'm saying? Mexico, you know what I'm saying? Like Canada, Toronto, the UK, you know what I'm saying? And now working with us. Jess is our keynote writing coach. She's our structured coach. You know what I'm saying? Let me say that. Yes.
Crump and Jay tend to be all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Jess gonna be like, look, plant your foot here, turn, pivot, to the sky, get your glamour shot. But man, I really do appreciate you, Jess, being on the squad. And for those of you who don't know, maybe 2 years ago now, I think, you know, I'm gonna be real. I don't know if we explained it in full, but like, you know, we train speakers over here with, you know, ETA, and then Jeremy, of course, being family, him and Crump had started, and Nick, and they were doing it. And then it was like, I would be speaking for Jay's conference at the same time we had a conference, and I was and I was like, yo, this is kind of weird, dog.
Sure.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of, you know, like bleed over in terms of like what we do, because we so tight as fam. And so a couple of years ago, we rolled our program into theirs, and we all just start rocking as a fam. And that's when Jess and I really got a chance to lock in, you know, in terms of the next level in ETA, you know, kind of formation. And it's been a journey just getting to know one another, getting to know people, learning stuff. Again, y'all are a little bit more structured around these parts. So I was like, whoa, like there's a lot of questions and a lot of like, we just go Holy Ghost. We just going Holy Ghost. But man, I am, you know, one, proud to say that we have the #1 training platform on the planet. And I don't just say that again. For those of y'all who like, oh, how do you say you #1? Just go ahead and take a look at the roster. You know what I'm saying? And so, but we'll get into, you know, that kind of stuff later. The thing I wanted to talk about today, and the reason I hit Jay up and the reason I hit you up, is because I got a friend of mine, man. Shout out to him. He's a good dude, but made some crazy choices like in our 20s and was kind of like, yo, you know, he always be hitting me like, yo, I love what you're doing. You know, like, keep going. And it's like, I'm like, bro, I know you see me and I am doing well and I do have a family and I do have these things. But he's saying that as if like, it's over for me. You just go ahead. Does that make sense? It's like, hey, bro, I know you. And I'm like, nah, bro, you still. And he like, bro, you know, that ain't necessarily, you know, I'm, you know, whatever. And I was like, you know what, man? I need to do an episode that talks about transformation, because I'm going to be real. Like, I can't say that I had like this epiphany. Like, this is going to sound weird. I've been pretty much the same since about kindergarten. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't really changed my stripes none. Like, I'm just being real. Like, the path that I'm on, like, of course, football or whatever, but like my character and kind of who I've been, does that make sense? Like, I ain't had no dramatic transformation. And when I look at Maul, right, on our podcast, Maul been loving Maul since Maul was, you know what I'm saying? Maul loves some Maul. And he been confident in all of these things since he was a kid. E did have a transformation at 17, right? Like, you know, he found the pastor and stuff like that. And I was talking to Jeremy and I was like, yo, you actually like changed your complete character at an age where most individuals are just locked in. You know what I'm saying? Like you think about like what age would you say people character is pretty much set? Like Crump, you got teenagers like 15, you see what I'm saying? Somebody say 10, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't really change your stripes much. And both of you have had extreme transformations. And I was like, yo, let me get my people on who can explain to individuals who need to make a change, who are looking at their life going, man, it kind of is what it is. Kind of like my homie who feel like, man, I'm 36, I'm 37.
So young.
Yeah, right. But I'm saying in his mind, he going, bro, I'm already in this lifestyle of, you know what I'm saying, just mediocrity or whatever it is. And I wanted y'all to speak to that, one, kind of where you were and what was going on. And then kind of like, what was that epiphany? Because I think we get all this information, right? And the one thing I always say on this pod is, I want to be very careful not to give theory. Like you ever go hear a good speaker and you be like, yeah, that was good. And then you're like, okay, what'd you take away from it? And you give like, well, you got to get up and work hard.
Right.
And put one foot in front of the other. And then you be like, okay, but what are you about to do like tomorrow? Yeah. And you don't really know. You know what I'm saying? And so I wanted y'all to be able to like talk about, yo, see, this is where I was. This is what was going on. And this is how I literally made that mindset shift to get myself to that next place in life where I could be. You know what I'm saying? So, and whoever wants to start, Jess, you can go. You know what I'm saying? We'll let Jess kick it off. Jess seemed a little nervous this morning, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. So I'm trying
to open up.
You know what I'm saying? Jess, she America's big sister. She our little sister.
Yeah, definitely. For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, want to talk about kind of like, you know, what was going on and how you made that shift, like, and to make it permanently, right? Yeah. Because we can make it it's like somebody who, I start eating healthy and I'm eating clean now. Yeah. Like, when'd you start? You'd be like, Tuesday. You're like, all right, give it a minute. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
But like this is years now of sustained, maintained progress of being able to not only be, you know, successful professionally, but in your marriage and all of those other places.
I think the biggest transformation for me was when I left Michigan and moved to Atlanta. Mm-hmm. It was like a light bulb went off because that was the first time in my life where I just jumped. So like, when God told me to quit my job, move to Atlanta and start over, I just was like, oh, well, clearly I'm going to be working at CNN, or clearly I'm going to get a promotion. Like the Lord is increasing me. Yep. And I'll never forget, like when we moved down here, like we're literally like in the U-Haul and found out that our house got double sold and that we weren't going to have a place to live.
Oh, wow.
Okay. First of all, what is double sold?
Yeah.
Like, we sold it to both of y'all.
We sold it to both of y'all. My bad.
That's actually wild.
You here first.
You not here. So
Keys on the dash.
So I'm sitting here like.
First come, first serve.
Yeah.
It's wild on the crib.
Yeah. So when God told me like this was going to be a faith journey, because of all the things that I desired to have and do, I didn't know what it was going to look like. Yeah. So then we finally got that situation taken care of, which took about a week, you know, of uncomfortability and really like trusting God through the situation. Yep. As I'm having these meetings with these networks and they're just like, no, we're tired of people moving to Atlanta and trying to be a star. Like, we're over that. I'm like, well, then what is that? Like, God, you ain't bring me here to be homeless, like, and not be successful.
But you left without a real...
I didn't have a plan. I mean, I had a savings, but I didn't have a plan. But anybody who's jumped knows how quickly
you was
a
on
savings.
some real Abraham stuff.
Oh, like, for sure.
Just go. I ain't tell you nothing else. Just go.
Okay.
Because I hear clearly from God. So once he said that, I was like, all right, you going to provide. You going to make a way. You going to do all this. So I had to encourage myself in the process because it didn't look good. And after, you know, call after call, meeting after meeting, I was like, God, you're going to have to give me some clarity. Why did you put me on this earth? Not like what I'm supposed to be doing for a living or like what's my career or what job. Like, why did you put me here in this season? And he was like, to bring hope to the next generation. I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean?
Right.
And he's just like, run with it. So the Bible talks about write the vision and make it plain, right? Yeah. I didn't know what to write because he was so vague. Which how God do you.
Yeah.
So it took me getting quiet and being deep. And I was like, you know what? When I was on TV, all these schools would reach out to me. All these organizations would reach out to me. The only way I know how to instill hope is by using my voice.
Right.
So I was like, I'm just going to try doing that. I'm just going to start reaching out to some schools, reach out to some organizations and see how this worked. Man, it ended up being a masterpiece. But if I would have settled in on my plan, which was to keep being on TV, be this big TV host, be all of that, which is really limiting, to be honest, in terms of income, right? And time, God knew I desired time freedom, travel, being able to make as much money as I wanted to make. And so I'm so grateful that I trusted God's plan over my plan.
Jay, for you, man, and we talked about this, but I don't really think you went fully into it. But I told you, one of the things, I think you were 29, 30 years old when you fully like made that transformation. Can you talk about, you know, like literally where you were? Because there's people who listen to this, man, and they like, yo, like I listen every week, but you know, some of the stuff y'all talking about ain't for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I can necessarily get to that next level or, you know, really, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they listen to it as entertainment, but I don't know that it's practical in terms of like where they want to be and what they think they can accomplish. You know what I mean? And I just like, I told you, bro, we've had some deep talks and I just respect the transformation so much. Like y'all, like Jeremy transformation is so crazy. I forget Jeremy used to really be like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'll tell you what was hilarious. And I knew Jeremy used to be like that because we got a mutual friend. Now, mind you, I only knew Jeremy since he got saved and made this full transformation. But we was leaving church one day, and one of my partners who I know from the A, who he a good dude, but he's still in the club life and everything else.
Right.
Jeremy was like maybe 10 feet away, and I'm walking with my mans, and he like, oh, is that Perm? I was like, no, that ain't Perm, that's Jeremy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, hold on, first of all, Perm, I'm thinking Jeremy bald, so he can't be talking to
Right.
And he was like, oh, shit, Perm. And Jeremy looked up, and we in the church parking lot, and he was like, hey, Nick, we going to the club tonight, what's up? And Jeremy was like, And I was like, hey. Jeremy's like, no. It's Brother Jeremy now, brother. Bro,
That's hilarious.
Peace, brother, peace. Yeah, that brother's starving.
Oh, bro, that's hilarious.
It's like, I was like, yo, he can't be talking. I was like, so again, that was early on in our relationship. And I know you had said like, man, yeah, I used to be fooling, but I'm not putting two and two together.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I was like, so then my boy, I think he rolled with me and I got in the car. And he was like, I was like, hey, how you know Jeremy? He was like, Perm? Oh, Perm was, and I was like, okay. I said, Jay, okay.
Yeah.
I need the full, story. But like you used to really be a whole different human and not as a kid. Like it's one thing when, like I said, E17, you get saved, you know, you kind of like find a mentor or something like that. You don't hear about people doing that at 30, bro. And like completely dropping everything and making a full 180.
Have you ever wondered what the secret ingredients are to a successful business? Sure, it's the people, the planning, and the product, of course, but an often overlooked secret is actually the business behind the business. And for millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Shopify is home to the #1 checkout in the world. Whether your customers are scrolling through social media, browsing your website, or walking into your store, Shopify ensures that you're ready to sell. And with features like Shop Pay that boost conversions by up to 50%, you're turning more visitors into loyal customers, meaning more sales and fewer abandoned carts. We use Shopify ourselves, of course, all our grind gear books, right? It's a game changer, guys. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. So are you ready to turn that into a daily soundtrack? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/secret to success, all lowercase. That's shopify.com, secret to success to upgrade your selling today.
Like, yeah, please, you know where to go.
So I am a poster child for, you know, the possibilities of transformation, like for real. So people see me now preaching and speaking for some of the biggest companies across the world, now training and coaching speakers with y'all, but they don't know, like 15 years ago, you know what I'm saying? Like I was selling weed by the pound, you know what I'm saying? Whole warehouse, whole operation, major dope connect that would supply me, you know, running 2 nightclubs, you know what I'm saying? Like pulling kick doors, you know what I'm saying? Like I was really living, wake up to a bottle of Henny, you know what I'm saying? Packing Newports a day, You know what I'm saying? 2-3 blunts a day, like sleeping around, like I was really living that I wasn't living a life of purpose. I was chasing paper, fame, kicking it with the homies, throwing parties in Atlanta with rappers. Like we threw one of our biggest parties with Soulja Boy in his prime in Atlanta birthday bash weekend. Like just like, bro, we was just doing a lot.
Yeah.
And
this is off of the heels of
I was 28,
rocking.
Oh yeah. So I met E. That's a good point. So I met E when I was first 11.
Yep.
And he was 21. So we 10 years apart.
Yep.
Almost exactly 10 years apart. And I met him at 11, and he was 21, and he was at my crib, and he put his hands on my shoulder, and he was like, you're going to do great things. God got a great plan for you. And as a little boy, I'm feeling good, like, thanks, man. You know what I'm saying? And just, I've known him over the years, and he ended up being one of my teachers. But then when I got, like, out of school, you know what I'm saying, and we were not connected, you know what I'm saying, it's like I ended up losing my way, bro.
And why do you think you did? Because you had obviously an incredible family support.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For people who don't know, you were adopted.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. My pops, my biological father has never been present.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying, in my life. And my mom had me when she was 16. And so she gave birth to me, but ended up marrying my pops. And so just the absence of my biological father, like, really affected me. And just a lot of wrong decisions, trying to fit in with the crowd, you know what I'm saying? Not really being in alignment, realizing I was a leader, but I was leading people the wrong way, you know what I'm saying? So the same thing I'm doing now when it comes to marketing, advertising, bro, I've been doing it, bro. I had an office like at the radio station. We would go in, we would record drops. Like we would come up with the flyers for the party, you know what I'm saying? We would mix in, we'd be in there mixing in the rapper saying he's coming, mixed in with my voice, and I'll be there like, I want this model to have the champagne popping like this on the flyer. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the same stuff I'm doing now, I was doing then, but it was for the club, it was for the work. And so went through this crazy transformation. God completely broke me down, and I lost everything, man, and hit the reset button. October 17th, 2009, I got baptized.
So we just, let's you know what I'm saying?
Let's give it up for
that's a blessing. How many years now? 15 years.
15 years.
Just
like,
celebrated 15
2 weeks.
years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
a couple weeks ago. And so as hard as I was going in the streets, I went as hard for my sake.
Okay, so this is what I want to get to.
Yeah,
I know a bunch of people who been saved.
Right.
My uncle got saved for about 36 hours.
You know what I'm
saying? Shout out to Unc. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unc was right back thugging. You know what I'm saying? 36 hours later. And I mean that, you know, no disrespect to anybody who's been baptized or born again or whatever, but we hear about that a lot. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I want to get to. We're talking about practicality. Again, y'all know we don't do theory on this podcast. So talk to me about, had you ever, okay, so let me ask you this question. Had you ever been saved or baptized before that and then lost your way?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So how many times was this? I just want to know.
Just once before.
Okay,
just once before. And that's when I was connected. And that's when I was connected with E. Because we was traveling when I was young in high school. We was doing skits and things. But
this was before you was thugging.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
But since you had been
and I was young. I wasn't like in high school, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like freshman year. But once that second semester of college came around, you know what I'm saying? And I took that first swig. You know what I'm saying? That was your first drink? Yeah.
Oh, you alive?
Yeah. Sophomore year in college. So
shout out to my uncle who had me on the little St. Ives at 13. You know what I'm saying? 13. Just a sip.
You know what I'm saying? I started with that and then realized, of course, now it's just like, man, that was a 10-year or decade of addiction, you know what I'm saying? And didn't.
So let me ask you this. Do you think it was the alcohol addiction that kind of led you down that path? Like, or do you feel like it was like a...
let me tell you, I've been intense in everything I do. So whatever I do, I just give it my all.
That's why I thank God he ain't never been no drinker. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, bro, he'd be wine no other year. Yeah. Listen, bro, everything I do is intense. So even when I was in the streets, blood, I had my hands in multiple things, but now I'm on this side. And so it was just, I think God saw like, bro, you a force wherever you are. Yeah. Let me just shut all this down and hopefully you choose me over here. Yeah. And so to anybody that be watching and listening, and when I speak, I'm letting them know like transformation is possible. Yeah. Like I am a poster child. Like I went from I don't want to, say too much to my little girl in here, but like when I tell you, bro, like the stuff
Jewel,
you see
your daddy was out there.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Jewel sleep. She good.
like, bro,
no, for real.
But God just so people can change. Like I'm talking about like caterpillar,
right,
to butterfly. So like literally, it's possible.
With respect to Jewel being in the room when you got baptized this time, what was different and like what like legit like I want to know like were you already kind of weaning off the life when you got there again? Because this we gonna make it real for people.
I'm gonna give it to you. Yep.
Were you already like, all right, I've been 14 days without a drink and I'm kind of getting sober and now get baptized, or was it like at the club that night, baptized in the morning, never doing anything else again?
So I realized, I was doing a lot of self-reflection and I realized where I went wrong before, it was small compromises. So I go from senior year high school, connecting back with E, we doing skits, we traveling, we speaking, freshman year in college to just sophomore year, just a little wine cooler. The next thing I know by the end of the semester, it's tequila shots, you know what I'm saying, to where we still in alcohol. Like, it was extreme. And so but it started with a small compromise. And so whenever I speak, I warn people of it. So folks now be like, bro, it's been 15 years. You ain't had a drop of liquor. Like, you ain't at the bar. Like, it's like, nah, not even wine. I'm like, the small compromise.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's people
and
on
you know yourself.
Yeah, and so it's people on social media, like, I don't follow. I got some homies of mine I went to school with who models, video vixens. I'm like, I can't, I'm not following you, you know what I'm saying? Because that's how I slip back up into porn or on a website I shouldn't be on. And so for me, it's just those small compromises, you know what I'm saying? So I have to set those boundaries early because that's where I lost my way. And I was heavy in that lifestyle. Holy Ghost, had a crazy conversation with my grandma, broke down crying, surrendered my all to God. 4 days later, got baptized. And then afterwards, I felt the weight of, I can't be this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you was just duct taping. You know what I'm saying? Like, you was just looking for the work. You know what I'm saying? Like, you was just on some super grimy, you know what I'm saying? It's about me and my partner stuff. Like, how you go from that and you gonna love the Lord? Like, so I was really dealing with like imposter syndrome. Can God really use me? Like, is this, is it really possible for me to sustain this life? And then all my partners, my homies, they was all in that lifestyle. And most of them was like, bro, I respect what you're doing. If you need to get that work, come holler at me. You can run a couple plays. Now I'm out here trying to find a job. Ain't nobody hiring. I'm thinking like, I got degrees. Come on now, God. Like, I was really beefing with God. Like, bro, I can run 2 plays and come up with rent for the next 3 months. Like, let me just do that. I ain't gonna hurt nobody. You know what I'm saying? But God just like clamped that thing down. It was just like, I'm just gonna see if you gonna fall, if you want to be homeless. But you ain't gonna go back to this lifestyle.
And that's the hardest thing to do. And Jess, you can speak to it too. But I think like, they say the first thing you should do when you're in the hole is stop digging, right? But how do you make decisions in the dark? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's different. You know what I'm saying? When it's dark, it's hard to make a decision on which way to go when it's dark. Like, think about it. Like, you out in a country road or something, and it's like, and no street lights, nothing. It's hard to figure out, like, where should I turn? What should I do when you can't see anything, right? And I think that's where people end up digging even more. Like, all right, I'm already in the dark. Let me keep digging. You know what I mean?
But you got to take that first step. That's what I realized. Like, so many people just stay there trying to find a map and you can't see it. It's like, you just got to take a step. And I realized, if I take a step, and even if it's in the wrong direction, I can take a step back and then redirect. And I feel like that's what has really helped me. It's like, okay, I take a step, like I knew from a very young age that I was supposed to use my voice. I didn't know to what capacity. At one point, I wanted to be a orthopedic surgeon. And I'll never forget when I was in this lecture, and I knew more than the professor. And he was like, young lady, don't disrespect me. I'm like, no, if you're going to say something false, like, I'm going to call you out on it. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, you need to use your voice for a living. And I felt like that was the confirmation. So it was like, all right, I tried TV. Like, I don't think it's TV. Like, try hosting. I don't think it's hosting. Like, try speaking. I'm like, okay, this is it. So often people know they have like a gift or a talent or something they're supposed to be doing.
But how do you find it in the dark?
Scared.
And did you have a time where you had to find it in the dark? And what was the dark for you?
Yeah, I think the dark is when stuff doesn't look the way that you plan, right? So we all do good kind of planning out, what we desire to have in life. And there was a time where I was hosting for Toyota. So I traveled around the world with Toyota. Anybody who's ever been to the auto show, the car shows, I used to be one of those models who used to be there on the little platform. Welcome to the auto show, whatever. And it was a good gig, but I just felt so limited with the money. And I'm like, I got to be able to make more money per hour. Like, I was just doing the math and it just wasn't adding up. And because I was like one of the top ranking people, they were like, no, you're like making a lot of money. Like, this is good money, but I desired more.
Yeah.
So then I started researching. I'm like, yo, this speaking thing, like what, like there's other ways that I can use my voice. Like, so I constantly did not settle on what people thought was good. Like I was constantly shifting my circle. So every time people would say like, man, you out here killing it. You're amazing. That's when I started investing in coaching programs. That's when I started going to masterminds. That's when I started hanging out with more millionaires. That's when I started shifting my circle so that every time I would be with people, the conversations were different.
Right.
So then I was thinking outside of my comfort zone. Like I'll never forget like when I was trying to consider transitioning from TV into speaking or doing something else, one of my mentors was like, say yes if it sounds like something you could do. So I'll never forget, me and the dude is still cool. Actually, Robert Kennedy. Yeah, that we cool.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, can you do corporate media training? I was like, oh, absolutely. I'm the best at it, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, how long? Nobody ever asked how long you're doing stuff. I think that's the biggest thing. Like everybody thinks somebody's gonna say like, has it been a week or 5 months? Or, I was like, yeah, I've been doing like, I'm killing, like I'm the best in corporate, like hire me. That was like my first like probably like 4-figure check. And I was just using the information from being on TV. So then I realized, wait a minute, if I made that from this, and he brought me in on a deal, if I do a deal by myself.
Oh man. Come on.
And then like at the time, like I think so often people are scared to do stuff for free. So like when I worked on TV, like there was a clause in my contract that said that I could not be paid to speak.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, why y'all all in my business?
Right, because they wanted it to be community service.
Ah, okay.
So I said, you know what? I can still get like the logos. Like I can still work with these big organizations and build out a website. So by the time that I leave, I can build up all this credibility. So that's for the person who's still working a job and it might look a little different with your contract or something like that. Like you can still get your reps in. You can still get your footage. Like I was still getting all of the stuff. So when I made the transition, I wasn't starting from scratch.
Got you. Yeah, no. And
Can I speak to that? You know, when you talk about, you know, making decisions in the dark, it's deep what Jess is saying. I think for me, Jess, kind of similar to you, I was chasing purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was just like, okay, like what should my purpose be? Like, where should my purpose go? So for me, it was really like, okay, how do you make decisions? I just said, man, I know I got a message. I know I got a story. Like, let me just speak. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me just share my message. Let me just share my story with the people. And I feel like that's like kind of what gave me enough to keep going. So I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do or how I was going to do it. But for me, I was just trying to lock in on like, okay, what's my purpose? What should I be doing? Like, what purpose work? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because before I wasn't living a life of purpose. I was just chasing paper. Yeah. But it's just like, yo, now if I can get in alignment with my purpose, and that's how it kind of evolved for me, speaking in little churches and schools.
But still don't even go that far though, Jay. You're addicted to alcohol. You're addicted to nicotine. You got all of this stuff going. How do you unravel it? Like, does that make sense? Like, yo, it's like I want people to understand. Like, because and I that's why I hate when people just be like, oh, just change, just give you like the God and change. It's like, bro, I set up an entire life. These are who my friends are. Yeah. This is what I do every day. This is what I'm addicted to. This is what me and my wife are doing. This is what, and you can't. It's not like you just like a light switch hits and it's like, I don't know any of these people. I don't talk to anybody here. It's like, dog, there's a full transformation that has to come along with that. Yep. So in terms of the practicality of that, how do you unwind that? Like did you have a nicotine patch? Like, did you, you know, I'm just like, for real. How do you get off of these things? How do you get rid of this circle?
People have literally asked me, did you do nicotine patch? Did you do AA meetings? Right. Like, bro, I ain't do none of that. What I did isolation.
Okay.
So my partners was calling me like, hey, bro, come to the studio. Bro, I can't come. I know the babes is gonna be there.
Did you tell them why, or did you just act
they
like
knew.
it was like,
they knew. They knew what it is. I was like, bro, I ain't strong enough to be in there, bro. Y'all got coke and everything else up in here. Like, I can't be up in the studio kicking it. I'll be like, y'all come to my crib and we can kick it because it's a controlled environment. Yeah. And then they come over, we watch the game, and after every quarter they need to hit the L. It's like, all right, go in the backyard and hit it. You know what I'm saying? And then come back in, we gonna watch the game, and then I would have to fight the urge because I can smell that thing on them. I'm like, oh, that's that good kush, boy. But I'm like, no,
right.
You know what I'm saying? But I had to like really lock in. So I couldn't go to the bar. I couldn't go certain places. I could, but I chose not to because I knew I wasn't strong enough. And so for me, I had to isolate myself. I had to really watch what I was watching on TV. I was so sensitive, bro. I couldn't even watch a show or a movie where there'd be like a love scene. I'm like, that's taking me somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't watch certain things. I couldn't go certain places. So for me, I had to really govern my eyes and my surroundings. I was only listening to worship music. Bro, for about my first 4 years, I was working out to worship music, bro. I'm talking about like Fred Hammond, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I couldn't do Jeezy then. Because it was taking me back to the streets. And then when I wanted to slip and I wanted to fall.
I don't know if I could work out the worship music.
That was my screensaver.
Huh.
Yeah.
So whenever I would want to slip or fall, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would look at that and be like, all right, before I run this play, like if he went through this, then I can deal with whatever physical pains, whatever headaches. Because you're used to putting this stuff in your body. You get used to it. You go from a pack of Newports a day to 2-3 blunts a day to drinking
to nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. Like, it was affecting my body, bro. It was affecting. So it was a very, very challenging season. But I had a support group, people that believed in me and loved on me and prayed me through it. And I just took it one day at a time. That was the biggest thing. Listen to me, y'all. I'm about to help somebody out. That was the biggest thing that God told me. God said, don't focus on, you ain't gonna never, God was like, don't ever say, I'm never gonna smoke, I'm never gonna drink again, or I'm never, he was just like, today, I choose today not to drink. I choose today not to smoke. I choose today not to do that lifestyle. I choose today not to go to that website. I choose today not to call some little babe. Like, I choose today to be a righteous man, to live righteous, you know what I'm saying? To live a life of purpose, to be a man of discipline. I just chose that every single day. And the days turned to weeks, the weeks turned to months, the months turned to years, and now we 15 years, 2 weeks in.
Wow.
And that's probably, and I feel like, for me, that's like, past Marine stuff, bro. That's like past Hell Night with the Marines. That's past PhD stuff, bro. Like, have to crucify the flesh, like slaying that monster inside me every single day. Like, bro, that's my biggest flex. Can't nobody tell me nothing, bro, when it comes to discipline, when it comes to commitment, because I know how hard, how painful, how agonizing it was. And for a long time, because I wrestled for so long, I felt like, yo, God, you breaking my heart. And God was like, I'm not breaking your heart, I'm building your soul. Like, I'm trying to do something deeper inside you. And my pops, one time I was talking to my pops was like, do you know how a potter takes a clay bowl and turns it into a clay plate? I was like, no. He was like, he has to take that clay bowl and he has to break it and he has to crush it. Then he has to put it in a mill where you grind it to where it's like saw and dust. And then you mix water in it and then you reshape it and remold it. And he was like, right now you're reshaped and remolded into like this vase now, but it's got to go through the fire to be seared. And so my pops was like, this season you're going through, God has been broke you. He done been humbled you. I went from having too much money to barely able to pay my bills and get by. You know what I'm saying? He's like, he broke you, he crushed you, but now he done poured his spirit upon you. He's reshaped you, and you feel like you this new person, but you're struggling internally. He's putting you through the fire so that you can be seared and hardened in him. So now I'm Teflon. Now I'm living in the city I once viewed as like the most crazy city. I could never live in Atlanta, bro. I've been here for 11 years now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I live up the street, you know what I'm saying? Like, from different places that I used to frequent. So now when I drive past Strokers or other strip clubs, like, I'm not even tripping, bro. I'm seeing it like, yeah, that was some crazy days. And I keep it moving because I'm chasing purpose now. You know what I'm saying? So it was a whole process I had to go through, and it was painful, but it was very rewarding.
That's insane, bro. Isolation, transformation, day by day.
Support
you know what
system.
I'm saying? Support system. Like,
and then really being mindful of what goes in my...
Y'all getting real now.
Really being mindful of what goes in my ears and what my eyes would see and who I would be around. That was huge. Because if I was still listening to Gucci Mane and Jeezy and all the rappers I love, and I'm still putting that lifestyle, but it's only a matter of time, bro. If I'm still going to some of these different places, it's only a matter of time before I say, man, let me hit that. Let me just have one drink. Like, I ain't gonna be crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, I gotta stay in this path right here because I really, really, really wanted to win. Like, I really, really, really wanted what God had for me. Like, when I realized that God, my grandmama told me 3 things, see? She said, God loves you. God will forgive you for all the crazy stuff you was doing. But, like, God also wants to use you. And I'm like, Grandma, now you tripping. I believe he loves you. You know what I'm saying? And I believe he'll forgive me. But he ain't going to use somebody like me. And she's like, baby, don't be so conceited in your sin.
Bro, that's my favorite quote, bro.
That you would think God's grace can't cover you. And I remember thinking like...
Right, you think you that deep?
Bruh.
That's crazy. Like, no, listen, we talked about it before, but... Don't be so conceited in your sin is crazy because it really, like, It really is like, yo, you think you the dirtiest, like, you don't even pump yourself up thinking that, bro, since the biblical days, cats been doing dirt and killing folk and thousands and been forgiven and used. You know what I'm saying? So what make you so conceited that you think, you know what I'm saying, you deeper than David? You know what I'm saying?
Bro, I looked at my phone, my grandma said that, I said, well, damn.
Right, straight up. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It make you feel bad, like, okay, maybe, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But no, that's real. And the other part of it, you know, obviously the mental health component, Jess, which is a big thing that you talk about and a big thing that you advocate for.
Yeah.
Talk about, like, for real, when you're going through those things and you do have those mental health challenges where it's like, not just like defeating self-talk, but like really like, I don't know if how to get through this or how to maintain even, thoughts of the future when I can't get past what I'm going through now or what I went through.
Yeah, so I dealt with depression and anxiety for over a decade. And when I say depression, I'm talking about like suicidal thoughts, not wanting to live. I got the cuts on my arm, and at one point I almost got tattoos over it. And God was like, how dare you do that?
Literally,
because at some point,
cuts on your arm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So at some point I was going to meet somebody and I would be able to share my relatability with them. When I tell you the amount of people that have come after me after I get done speaking on mental health, and they say, I was literally about to kill myself.
Wow.
I showed them my scars, they showed me their scars. That's a level.
If you don't mind me asking, what age were you when you were going through this?
So this was in high school.
Okay.
So the situation was kind of crazy, but I have no problem sharing it. I fell backwards on cement with a 50-pound backpack when I was 11 years old.
Fell backwards on
cement. Yeah. So like the backpack too heavy because I was on like 100 pounds. Backpack weighed 50 pounds. That's when we had to carry books to school.
For sure.
Missed that step, fell back, and it permanently damaged my back. So from like 11 to 18, I living in Ann Arbor, U of M hospital, we seeing every specialist. They're flying in people. Like there was no surgery that I could qualify for. It was just extreme like spasms all day long, to the point where my mom said if I wasn't pretty, I would get teased because I had to have like a heating pad plugged in like in high school.
Oh yeah.
Because I was in so much pain. I'm still actually in a lot of pain the majority of the time. But
did you know this?
I did not know that.
Okay, that's why I said Jess come on now. Look,
so the majority of the time I am in excruciating pain, but I realize like if this is something I have, like it's not gonna define me. Like I'm not just gonna be staying at the crib. Like I gotta just keep pushing even if the pain hurts, especially if it's cold, because it's kind of like arthritis. So if it's cold or rainy, I'm really achy. So that's why sometimes at the events I'll have a jacket on because I'm trying to keep heat inside my body so that the muscles can relax.
Meanwhile, Crump got the AC on 62.
Crank it.
Look at you, Crump. Our fearless leader, Crump, is off camera right now. He'll be on the next episode. You know what I'm saying? We'll get him an episode
for sure.
to tell his truth. But for now, Crump, you got Jess' whole back froze up.
Shivering, right?
Tell Nick order some heating pads.
Yeah. No. It's no problem. I'm not the type of person that needs anything extra. But once that happened, we went to see specialist after specialist. So by the time I got to high school, around my senior year, I was in so much pain. We were desperate. Being in a desperate place is really dangerous. And so they were like, we got this new drug. It's experimental, but it'll change the way that your brain perceives pain. We were so desperate. We were like, okay, let's just take it. They had like 18 side effects. I got all of them, which was like psychosis and weight gain and like all of this stuff. So then we went on like a path. It took about 10 years to correct all the side effects from medication after medication. So I was losing my mind, not because anything like had happened traumatic for me. It was all these medications. And all I remember is my mom just praying over me and my grandmother praying over me and them telling people, because honestly, like the church we went to, like, yo, people was talking about me. They're like, yo, I heard Justin lost her mind. She crazy. Like she was so successful. Mind you, I was sold out to Christ. Like we had a promise ceremony at 11 years old. Like I was going to be a youth pastor. Like I was the chosen one.
Yeah, for sure.
But Satan saw that. So for anybody listening to this and you wonder like why does stuff keep happening to you, is because there's so much purpose and you're going to meet somebody and it's going to be relatable and you're not going to come off as perfect. You're going to come off as flawed. And that's what people relate to, is flaws instead of perfection.
Come on.
So it was a hard situation. And so I was like, man, God, I want to put this behind me. And he said, how dare you put your testimony behind you? And so there have been so many instances where I'm so grateful that I'm like, hey, sis, I see you. Hey, bro, I see you.
Wow.
Like, if I can do this, you can do this.
Wow.
Like, if I can keep fighting and I'm in pain all day, then what is your excuse for laying in the bed? And if depression and anxiety is something that you struggle with, even if you're like on the other side of it, it's still the little dangling carrot that tries to get me. So there are days where I'm like, even this, if I could be honest, this morning, I like heard Satan be like, man, you should just cancel. Like, every time I show up somewhere, I'm literally planted with thoughts to cancel. So I have to, in real time, talk to myself. I have to, the word says you got to encourage yourself. That's why it says that.
Yeah.
Because them thoughts don't stop. So I'm like, no, this is going to be the
Cancel
best
because
podcast.
of what, though? Like, I don't
It's
feel
no
like
logic.
going, or...
There's no logic behind depression. There's no logic behind these thoughts that come to you. It's like your body is always trying to, your flesh is always trying to disqualify you for what God has called you to.
Wow.
So I'm fighting those thoughts on a daily of like, hey, don't post that content, or don't do that podcast I just launched, or don't do that speech, or don't do that this. Because every
But you
time
do everything.
I do everything.
Shout out to Jess, because I didn't even know you were going to do it. Jess going to be like, I'm doing it anyway, because you did launch the pod.
Yeah.
And you are out there on the road changing lives and teaching people to speak and coaching people.
Yeah.
And you showed up today, and it's like...
And let me tell you how crazy this is. When I had my daughter, and for y'all that don't know the story, you know, it's supposed to, the baby supposed to come at 40 weeks. Mine came at 24 weeks.
Yep.
My daughter was in the hospital for 9 months. She had a trach and a feeding tube. But I was supposed to be in the hospital for 3 months. I left the hospital early so I can make it to 7-figure con.
Wow.
I did not
So
know that.
I was like 6 weeks, like it takes 8 weeks to heal from a C-section. Wow. It was like 5.5 weeks when I did 7-figure con, because that was the first conference we were doing that you and E was going to be there. And I was like, I'm not going to let Satan rob me. I'm not going to let somebody steal what God has for me. So I'm going to still show up.
Wow.
And I showed up with energy. I showed up with excitement. Like,
Oh, you sure did, because I didn't even know.
Like nothing was going on, but that's what we have to do when we're called to greatness. Like, I know I am a leader.
Yeah.
I know that I was created to inspire people. So how dare I say, you know what I mean? Like, now granted, I don't want people to hear that and be like, oh, she's not taking care of herself. I know my bandwidth.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
So I'm constantly checking in on myself. I have a lot of self-awareness. So I'm like, okay, can I handle this? Is this too much? Like, I'm assessing that at all times, but I'm going to push myself. I'm going to push my flesh as much as I possibly can.
Let's stay there, because, you know, obviously as we've gotten to know each other and, you know, fam now and stuff like that, like, I've been there like since I think your daughter has been born. You talked about that. And when I tell y'all, like, for real, she not just talking, like, just show up and be on fire and coaching and, you know, smiling and being around. Like, talk about that, because you went through the stuff with the back and that, you know, kind of earlier in life, and then you and your husband, and it's like, of course, everybody's dream, right? You get married, you want to have a kid, and then you have this baby girl, beautiful baby girl, who's born so early, and it was so
a pound.
like a pound.
A pound.
And I can remember Jeremy would like text me updates and stuff and be like, I think you're the Godfather.
Yeah, he the Godfather.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, he you know, he's taking pride in his role, and he would just like every once in a while text and be like, hey, just pray, you know, the baby had a rough night, or you know. Can you talk about that process? And again, I love having you on this pod selfishly, because our women audience, they be like, y'all need some more representation.
For sure.
And so this is stuff, you know, we don't get to talk about a lot, but motherhood, being a mother, being a wife, being an entrepreneur, coaching and working with us, and then having the fragility, or, you know, just the baby girl just being so precious, and like, you know, like you said, she got the trach in, and you got to listen for breathing. And it, you know, it's so much going on. The main thing that we hear, you know, with a lot of, not women, just in general, is, man, I want to be a speaker. But I got too much going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I'm gonna be real. Like, I got my 9 to 5.
For sure.
I got this. You know, my kids got soccer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're doing all of this, and by the way, your own speaking career, like,
sure.
right? Like, Jess is like our coach, but she also is out on the road speaking, and it's like
killing on social media content.
Yeah, just launched a new podcast. Like, you gotta, I want you to walk us through baby girl and your daily, you know, your husband's daily routine in that aspect, and then how you continue to push forward and not only maintain, but grow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like most people just like, man, I'm just trying to make sure I get breakfast, lunch, and dinner and go to sleep. And then we wake up and try again. It's like you've actually been elevating through this process, which I think is incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let me just start by saying that. I want to acknowledge that everything I'm doing is crazy. Right. I just couldn't allow this to be the end. I'll never forget when I was in the hospital and when they told me like I was gonna have to have the baby. It was when we were actually supposed to have our mastermind in the Dominican Republic, and that's when the merger was gonna be announced. And I remember for a second, I allowed my brain to process the realities of like, oh my God, is my spot gonna get taken? Because I'm not there. And I'm sitting here like, oh my God, like, because I had like 4 speaking engagements the week I had my daughter. Like, I literally was supposed to be in the Dominican Republic. I was supposed to speak in some band. Like, I was on tour, so I was flying.
So y'all didn't have no warning that she was going to come early?
I literally, so what happened was I ended up gaining 60 pounds in 4 months. I was so swollen I could not fit my husband's size 13 shoe. So the day I ended up going to the hospital, I was so like it just the weight of everything for me and so swollen.
But they didn't tell you like...
No. Like the whole pregnancy, they said like, you're good, you're fine. You don't need no special doctors. Like everything was fine. Blood pressure was good. Like I was going in like every week. Yeah. So everything was good. I almost passed out in the shower and my husband started praying for me. He was like, I feel like your best friend needs to call you. She called me. She started praying over me. She said, Jess, this is crazy, but you got to go to the hospital immediately. You about to have this baby. Now, mind, this is my first child, so I don't really know how this works, but I'm like, I don't think, you know what I mean?
24 weeks.
In 24 weeks, I don't think this is it, right? And so the crazy thing was at 23 weeks is the day that I went in the hospital. They said, because I had gained so much weight so quickly, they were like, you're 9 months pregnant, you got to deliver. I'm like, no, like I still got ways to go. Like I got a flight in 2 days. Yeah. Like I'm not missing that flight. Like they had to literally tell me, like hold me and be like, you're not making any flights. Wow. Like your plans are canceled. Like you're about to die. And you and your daughter might die. So just shift your focus.
What if you don't mind,
so I ended up getting diagnosed with severe preeclampsia.
Okay, gotcha.
So that has to do with like your blood pressure. So by the time
that's weird that they couldn't.
It just can hit you at any moment. So it can happen on the pre side, and then also can happen on the post side. But either way, it can kill you. Now the craziest thing about it is the mother of my brother's daughter, exact same thing. She ended up having her daughter at 27 weeks, severe preeclampsia, ended up gaining like 60, 70 pounds. Wow. Like it was the same traumatic situation. My niece was in the hospital for 4 months. Okay. So that every week counted. So literally like I'm in the hospital bed and they're like, you're about to have this baby. I'm in real time Googling survival rate of 23-week baby. Oh, it's low. Yeah. So I'm like, survival rate of 24 weeks. They said it doubled. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to wait a week. They're like, we don't advise it. You're not gonna make it. I said, let me tell you something. I did not come this far to lose my life and my daughter's life. So we're going to just wait as long as possible. So the actual day, 24 weeks and 1 day that I had my daughter, they had told me that I was going to be able to be on bed rest for the rest of the months. So my husband had brought like everything. Like he done brought a mattress for him. He done brought a refrigerator, a microwave. Like we had settled in. Yeah. And he went to go get Olive Garden. I'll never forget it. He went to go get Olive Garden. He came back, and as he's walking in the door, a swarm of doctors walk in, and they say, your blood pressure is at 220. You're about to die. And I black out. At that point, I don't know what's going on. They're like, we have to take the baby immediately.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It like switched. Okay, so literally, they were like, hey, you're doing good. Just settle in, bring all your stuff. Like, y'all about to just live here. So we're like, okay, bet we can do that. 2 hours after that. Wow. They're like, your liver's failing, like all your organs are failing. So we had to have that conversation of like, you know what I'm saying? If we got to choose the baby, don't choose me. He's like, I'm not choosing the baby over you. I don't even know this baby. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, choose the baby. I think any
husband would say that.
Yeah, we can have another. Yeah, he's like, we can have another baby. And so I told him, I said, you're going to be okay. You're going to be a great father. Like we had to have that moment. And then after that, I just don't remember what happened. And I ended up having to get 4 epidurals. Mind you, I plan on having like a doula and it'd be like worship music. Like I had an aroma playing. Like it was about to be a vibe. Like we were gonna vlog it. Like it was about to be it was about to be a vibe, right? Because I had this plan.
Yeah, of course.
And all that stuff wrecked. And I remember when I kind of got back into consciousness because my blood pressure was so like it just made me kind of in a haze. I remember the guy doing the epidural. He was like, I've never had to give somebody 4 epidurals. He's
I
like,
didn't even know that was possible.
he said, your spine is swollen. He said, we can't even figure out where it actually needs to go.
Wow.
And he's like, I'm literally putting you in so much pain. And then this is the worst part. Halfway through the C-section, they forgot to go get my husband. So then all of a sudden they're like, where's your husband? So they go get him and he has to see me like cut open. He said it was the worst thing of his life. He said he's still traumatized.
So Candace got an emergency C-section with Avery because she had a knot and her cord was tied around her neck. But I was on the good half.
Oh, you're on the good half. Okay, yeah.
And I was like, they lifted my daughter up like Simba over the curtains. Like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't even want to know.
Yeah. So he had to see the whole thing.
Nah.
And because she was a pound and it was so like dire, I didn't even get to see her. I didn't see her for a week. Wow. I didn't see my daughter for a week because I was dealing with so much that I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. So it was like I couldn't even, and she couldn't be rolled because she was in the NICU. So my husband had to go with her. But the most beautiful thing is babies born that premature don't cry when they're born. And she cried. And they were like, oh, this baby's going to make it. And they were like prophesying over her. They were like, she's a warrior. 1 pound.
Wow.
So like and I'm not gonna lie, when you see babies that small, like they look disfigured, like they don't look done.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you're like by faith saying like you are beautiful.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because you're looking like and everybody like send me pictures. I'm like, oh, thank you. I'm gonna send you a picture in a couple months. You know what I mean? When she's cooking a little bit, but it's a weird thing to look at a child that you know isn't done. But I committed every day to speaking the word over her because it was like, how dare I speak life into all these strangers that I had the experience to encounter. So I'm speaking the word over her. I'm just affirming her. You are beautiful. You are confident. You are strong. Your lungs are getting stronger every day. You can do this. Like I'm at the hospital like 12 to 14 hours a day. And I was still pumping because they told me breast milk was the best milk. But because of all the stress, it was not easy. So I was in pain. Like even at the conferences, I would literally be like behind some random curtain. Like, Deani know, behind some random curtain. That's why I always had jackets on, because I like literally was pumping to provide my daughter with milk. And my husband, thank God my husband was so amazing. That's why the person you marry is vital.
That's a whole nother part.
Yeah. The hospital was an hour and a half away from traffic, and we were having to go up there 3 times a day to deliver this milk. Like I was a cow. Still coaching. So like and when my daughter was in the hospital for 9 months, I asked the staff if I could use their lunchroom so that I could still keep coaching people.
Okay, so at the conference, Jess needs to do a whole keynote just on this story right here. For all the Negroes out here making excuses on some average stuff. I had no clue this was going on. And
so I asked God, like, why I had to go through all of this? And he was like, because you're going to meet so many people with excuses.
All right.
And they will know.
Organifi. 20%. How about that?
You meet so many people with excuses. So many women saying like, I can't, you know what I mean? I got all this going on.
I don't know. My son got football on Thursdays.
Like, and then God also told me, this is going to be the slowest season of my life. Like he like from here, like however chaotic this feels now.
Wow.
This is the slowest season. And something that really encouraged me. I remember one day I was in the hospital because at the time, my husband's mother was dealing with brain cancer. So at one point,
all right, Jess. Okay. Now, hold on.
At one point, me, my daughter, and my mother-in-law were all in the same hospital. She decided to have her surgery in the same hospital so that her son could come visit her. So when I talk about like weight, responsibility, and God was like, no, this will be your slowest season. So, and I remember thinking, God, like, why do I have to do this? And he's like, you said you wanted to be the #1 woman motivational speaker in the world. That comes with weight. That comes with relatability. Like people want titles, like you praying for stuff, you asking for stuff, you desiring stuff, but you don't know how much weight that is. And then he brought me to 2 people. He showed me E.T.'s face and he showed me T.D. Jakes' face. And he was like, wait. And I just had to sit with it. Because we all got these stories. And you're like, you could say why them and why that, but then you see where they at. like they endure some pain.
And I think that's, it's so funny too, because the stuff that y'all went through, and that's one of the things I had to get over, right? Even Crump, you got an incredible story. Crump, Florida, you know what I'm saying? Florida boy. You know what I'm saying? Crump, that's Crump problem. He's still listening to that Florida music. You know what I'm saying? He's still on Kodak. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that Broward County. But again, this is, something that I want people to hear. The reason we all chose this is for different reasons. Like, it's all different reasons, right? Like, the reason we chose to go into this, the stuff that you went through, the stuff that you endured, the stuff Jeremy went through, like, that's y'all connection to people. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why, I love coaching y'all or being there for y'all in the branding, because I'm like, yo, when you go there, and I tell people all the time, and it's something that I've had to tell both of y'all, is there's a reason E says every single speech, it took me 12 years to get a 4-year degree. My mother got pregnant with me at 17, dropped out, abandoned buildings, ate out of trash cans. Like, he's trying to show you in every single message that this is the baseline where I came from to get wherever you think I'm at now. And a lot of times, like, even for some of our listeners of the podcast, it's like, I love it. They started listening like 4 years ago. And it's like, I told somebody the other day, I was on my coaching call last night with Next Level, and dude was like, yeah, well, how do I find my CJ? And I was like, yeah, you looking for CJ like now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You need to find me at 21, 22 when I was like not this version by any means. You know what I'm saying? And, for me, and that's why I love the work we do, right? Even for me, like, I had to go to God and be like, all right, cool. I'm looking at E like, yo, homeless, abandoned buildings, trash cans. I'm listening to my wife. She like, yo, I got taken from my mother. She was strung out on crack, east side of Detroit. And I grew up in like Pleasantville compared to all of this. Like, I'm just being real. We literally had a white picket fence. Yeah. Like, legit. And then I started saying, okay, God, like, how do I fit into this equation in terms of speaking and training and coaching? Because I love this too. And God was like, yo, you had a father. You had a healthy upbringing. So it's on you to be even more for people, because they need to see what health looks like. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And like, and so I just always took it upon myself to be like, okay, cool. I will be the one that leads and shows confidence and has no fear and has these things and show people a different thing. And I think that's why it's dope. What we do in our community is show individuals how to use your story, whatever that story is, whether you like me and you came up middle class and got a good upbringing and we went to Disney every now and then, and you know what I'm saying? Or you grew up and had these struggles and challenges that, made you who you are. I think that's what's so incredible about our community is you just see people from every walk of life, and a lot of stuff, Jess is talking about, of course, when she's with us, you're more coaching. Yeah. But some of this is even new for us just in terms of the way you framing it today. How does the life experience for both of y'all frame what you're going to talk about and how you connect to your audience?
Yeah, so when I first started speaking, I spoke on success because everybody said I was successful. They're like, well, you used to do beauty pageants and you started your first company at 14 and you've been on magazines, you do all this stuff. So talk about success. I'm like, okay, well, that's low-hanging fruit. Let me do that. Yep. But I'll never forget, there was this lady who came up to me. She's like, your speech was amazing. But honestly, like, I'm so depressed right now, like, I can't even process your motivation. And so I just hugged her and I said I loved her and I just encouraged her. Yep. And I went to my car and God was like, how dare you not share your story? Like, don't share the polished one. Yeah. Like, let people know you actually are dealing with depression and anxiety and you're struggling and you're dealing with all of that stuff. So I think I want to encourage anybody who's listening to this that's like,
were you reluctant to share that at first because you kind of thought like, I'm supposed to be talking about motivation and success? Like, I can't really.
Yeah, I would say that is something that I struggle with, especially the stigma like in the Black community talking about mental health. So I started talking about it. I always tell people pre-COVID. Okay. So like when nobody was really talking about it, and I used to get like pushback from people like, why do you want to talk about this heavy topic? Like, you're so successful, just talk about success. And I'm like, but people are broken. Like, there's so many people dealing with it. Like, why can't I be the person to champion this on? And honestly, it changed my whole business because it's rooted in purpose. Yep. And it's like, I wish somebody would have helped me. Like, I wish I could have went to a speech and somebody would encourage me and supported me. Like, I had family and friends that were amazing, but I didn't hear like from outside influences. So I said, instead of complaining about what I didn't have, why not I become that person for somebody else? So that's what pushes me. So I want to encourage people. If you've been through domestic violence, if you've been through sexual assault, I've been I've been through a lot of stuff. I started just sharing stories and people are like, thank you. I finally feel seen. So it does take some healing. Like that's why I launched the Finally Healed podcast, because I was so tired of people wanting to talk about stuff from an unhealed place.
Yep.
So it's like, can we go to therapy? Like, can we not just talk to my best friend? Like, can we go to somebody who this is what they do for a living and you can finally say that I am important enough to heal? I think that's the thing. Like, we don't feel like we're on this hamster wheel of just doing things that we feel guilty taking an hour to talk to somebody and release some stuff from our past.
Facts.
Jay, for you, just in terms of, and Jay, I love Jeremy. He's like E, but he's not. Like Jeremy goes into this zone like E goes into this zone, but then Jeremy just start being so transparent. Yeah, I be texting Crump like, hey, bro, this man, you know what I'm saying? While Jeremy was on stage, I think we were in Toronto, and I text Crump like, hey, this is a madman. Like, you really, like, once you get into your zone, like, bro, and I'll be looking like, did Tracy approve this? Like, I'm like, I just don't know if it's some stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I could just be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna share it. Like, I would have to look over and be like, oh,
right, same, yeah.
You know, and Jay just be like, look, when the Holy Spirit enter, you know, it's on. But how do you, I guess, Jay, how do you obviously use your past for your messaging, and then why do you feel so comfortable with the transparency? And is it something that you had to talk to Tracy about? Look, like, I'm about to spill all the beans now tonight, so don't, you know what I mean? Like,
and I don't spill all the beans. I do spill some. Yeah. So I don't spill them all, but
I was talking to my wife last night, and I had to. I'll be like, whoa, where's Trace?
It's all about framing.
Yeah.
And her thing is like, give me a heads up. That way I know I'm about to get swarmed by 1,500 people after you speak. It's like, oh my God, your story's amazing. So her thing is like, just give me a heads up so I can be prepared to have the influx of people that's inspired by our story. But for me, what was the question though?
Just in terms of how you use your past to inform your messaging and training now.
I mean, and so
and
I tell
again, y'all
people,
understand something. The reason I'm asking this because it's like one of the number one questions I get is, how do I get into, you know, the industry? Because y'all know that's, listen, that's the only thing I do well, but that's what I do well is coach and train speakers and brand speakers. And so this is an opportunity not only for them to hear y'all story and learn from y'all, but also to hear how you guys use what you've been through. Like your message and your story is your currency. Like you should be getting paid off of the pain you went through and you overcame. And I told people all the time, it don't matter what you went through. If you overcame it, you are the expert in that lane.
100%.
And so you can get paid for that. Understand something. Public speaking is like the number one fear in the world. They said it's like above swimming with sharks, jumping out of planes, parachuting, bungee jumping, scary movies. Standing up in front of people and talking. So what does that mean? If that's the number one fear in the world and you can do it at a decent level, you can get paid for it. And
for sure.
Obviously, both of you have made an incredible life for yourselves doing it. But I mean, when you look at decoding your past and informing your future, how do you reflect on it, use it, and then go forward with it? You know what I mean?
I tell people all the time, in order to give a real powerful speech, you got to be real and relatable. So Paul says, I boast all the more gladness in my infirmities and my challenges and my struggles. Paul was like, I could talk about how smart I am and how successful. He's like, I'm a boast on the things I struggle with. So that's really what connects with the people. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I feel like I'd be doing them a disservice if I'm not open, if I'm not honest, if I'm not transparent. So I'm gonna put it out here to let you know, this is from where I've come from. These are the mistakes I made. Don't make the same mistake. If you care about people. I tell folk all the time, if me and Crump walk down the alley and we turn right on Parker Avenue and we know what some people that's waiting to rob you and we just got robbed, bro, I'm gonna tell you, don't go down the street and turn right on Parker Avenue. Because if you go down and turn right on Parker Ave, it's 8 people waiting to rob you. So if I care about you, I'm gonna tell you, I made that wrong turn. Don't go and make that turn. So for me, it comes from a place of love. I had to be selfless and say, you know what? I don't care what you think about me. You could judge me if you want. It's a whole bunch of people that would appreciate me being open and honest and vulnerable about sharing my story and my journey. And and that was one thing, as I began to walk this path with God, I realized, like, man, people need to hear it. They can connect with it. My message and story was amazing and refreshing. They was like, yo, if it's possible for you, it's possible for me. And I just kind of made a career out of just sharing my story, sharing my heart, and been doing it for all these years. And so for me, I just got to a point where I was like, man, folks out here hurting. People are struggling. The way I can change lives and help them is to let them know I was once there. This is what I went through. And now I've impacted who knows how many millions of people whose lives are changed because they was like, bro, I've been seeing your journey. Bro, if God could do that with you, if he could change your life around and you can be living like this as an adult, like you say, to go through that transformation at the age of 29 years old, a grown man, completely change your ways and stay that course, people know it's possible. But now it's just like, not only is it possible to change your ways, but now you can go and make a business, a career, a ministry out of it. So now we got folks that's in men and women empowerment, some speaking in the corporate space, some speaking for sports teams and athletes and high schools and middle schools. Like, people are using their message now and they're turning their pain into purpose. And so I'm like, don't keep that message to yourself. As you go through the healing, you go out here and you heal the people. Speaking about healing and counseling, I got a session today. 4:30.
I got one
with
on
Dr.
Friday.
Dale. Yeah, for sure. Then I'm doubling up, but I got another one tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm cutting the gym early, right? That's how I stay the path. That's how I stay locked in.
Still going to counseling.
Still going to counseling.
Yeah.
I'm doing 2 weeks now. Don't play with it. You know what I'm saying? And when I told Tracy, she was like, "Are you back with Dr. Dale?" Praise God. I'm like, damn. You know what I'm saying? But for real, like, I want to be
Been a little weak lately. I'm gonna hold you.
Oh, bro.
Caught your
But
eyes
I want to be
wandering.
as strong, and it's a lot too stupid. I want to be as strong and locked in as possible,
That's
bro.
it. Caught them eyes. See them eyes, man.
Yeah.
I told you we was in South Beach one
You
time.
gotta tell her, bro.
And I don't know what.
No,
we
the real South Beach, too. They be out
we was
there.
on South Beach. That's the last conference we had on South Beach. And Diddy told E, like, yeah, I think you need to give me your word. he was like, why? She was like, yeah, I caught you, look, your eyes gazing around the beach. Bro, Diddy stupid. I fell out. But
Can I talk to the person that doesn't feel qualified?
oh, please.
Yeah. So when I made that transition from talking about like success and achievements and accolades and all that type of stuff, talking about mental health, for a moment I was like, but I don't have a degree in this. Like, I'm not a therapist. Like, I'm not licensed. Like, maybe I shouldn't do this. And I'll never forget when an organizer, I asked them, like, why did you pick me over somebody who this is what they do for a living? And they were like, because we want something real.
Come on.
Like, we don't want a technical speech. Like, we could bring somebody technical in, but when we hear like the struggles and the challenges that you have gone through and how you have overcome them, that is more relatable than bringing somebody. And I realized that there's space and place for both. Yeah. Because I know sometimes when people are like, well, what is the qualification to be a professional speaker? Vulnerability.
Come on. Yeah. A heart.
A heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Man. Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
Come on, Jay. Come on.
It's one thing we really haven't touched on.
Yeah.
And man, it just go to show, I got a shot you, I see. It just go to show how pure your heart is. Yeah. We're not even talking about the millions of dollars being made from speaking and how we changing people's lives out here, bro.
Oh,
Can I just,
no
can I
question.
2
Please.
minutes?
No, please.
Bro, so we have 5 different awards.
Yep. Oh, come on, talk about it.
So from the people in our community, just so y'all know. But you see his heart. It's the message, it's the story, it's the ministry, it's life-changing. But friend, I've been saying friend now. Yeah. More than ninja. I've been saying friend.
Yeah, I love it.
Friend, don't get it twisted though. Like, there's a way now where we can help people once we see your heart is pure, your intentions are right, where you can really monetize your message. So, we got the Platinum Award that we give every year at our conference.
Every year.
That's all the people that make between $50,000 to $99,000 a year.
Which we had how many people about?
Bro, I don't even. It's dozens, bro. It's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
I would say dozens at least who went through and made between 50 and 99.
Then you got those that do $100,000 up to $249,000. That is the
Diamond.
That's the Diamond Award. And then you got those group of people that do from $250,000 to $499,000. That's the Sapphire Award.
Yep.
Then you have the people in our community that do $500,000, $500,000 up to $999,000. That's the Pinnacle Award. And then you have those that's doing 7 figures and up. That's the
we
Icon
had our first
Award.
one.
Our first Icon
doing
Award
7
was
figures.
Chris Singleton.
Yeah.
Young
Shout out to Chris.
28-year-old.
Yeah.
My man ain't even 30s yet, bro.
So when I say we have the number one,
come on,
that's what I meant.
Come on,
Jeremy just brought the stats.
Have
You know
them
what I'm
speaking
saying?
part-time.
Yeah. No, it is, and let me tell you something. I told Jeremy, like, I don't really get irritated too often, but I see people selling speaker training programs, and let me tell you something. This is how you know if it's real or not. when you look at their program and they go, should I try this one or try this one? Do me a favor and look at them and go, all right, besides the person who's actually selling it to me, who else have they blown up? Cool. If you can go to, okay, because we're obviously we talking about from the top, Dr. Thomas, E.T., Jeremy, and Inky. Let's just go there, just off the rip. That's our leadership of our program, you know, and then you go off of that and you got the coaches, Jess, myself, and Crump. I mean, we have an all-star cast, and then you have, y'all know about the people who, you know, maybe are, you know, doing it big, but they don't even know about the Edward DeShazers and, like you said, the Chris Singletons, Jeremiah Brown, like Fendi. Bro, we
made $160,000 his first year speaking with zero experience.
Yeah, it's been incredible.
That, so, and we didn't just pray our. Can I just say this? I like to say this.
Please.
We did not just pray our way.
Yeah.
Fendi didn't pray his way to $160,000.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Tia Johnson didn't just pray her way there after a few months in the program, get a $75,000 contract.
Yeah.
She do hair for a living.
Come on.
Yeah.
But she realized, like, man, what I'm doing, they hair on the outside, I'm speaking to someone on the inside.
Yeah.
We help her create a program for young girls in schools. Now she getting programmed after program, offer after offer. We didn't just pray our way. It's a framework we created, and I'm proud of that.
Oh,
so we praying people.
Yeah.
We are praying people, but it's a framework.
You know, not to mention we international now. Shout out to Toronto.
Yeah.
We got a Toronto chapter. We got a London chapter.
London.
Crump working on the Middle East, so we're gonna be in the Middle East soon. Yep. And I can't wait for y'all to hear Coach Crump's story at some point, man. He's got an amazing story, an amazing testimony. And, man, he does an incredible job leading out the community. But I do want to tell y'all about the challenge we got. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be doing my thing on that joint. You know what I'm saying? November 11th to the 13th.
Yep.
It's a 3-day challenge. Dr. Thomas, of course, Jeremy, myself. We got some special guests. Shout out to Laura,
Jess,
Tim.
Ross.
We got some heavy hitters in the building, and we are going to do a 3-day challenge. Tell them a little bit about the challenge, and then we'll tell them where they could sign up, because I know there's those of you out there that are like, yo, see, I've been hearing you talk about it, but it's showtime. I got to get active.
Yeah, so it is it's a 3-day, so it's called the 6-Figure Speaker Virtual Summit. So we're challenging you for 3 days to tap in with us. And me, Jess, C, E.T., the #1 motivational speaker in the world. Y'all know the vibes. Tim Ross, Laura Castleman. This is going to be epic. 3 full days. Well, not say full days. It's going to be in the evening. Tap in with us for a couple of hours.
Virtual.
Yeah, and it's virtually.
So you ain't got to worry about coming nowhere. You're going to do it right on the virtual joint.
And so you can go to speaks2s.com. To reserve your ticket. You know what I'm saying?
Number 2, Speak S2S.
S2S.com. Yes, the number 2, Speak S2S.com. But everything from the framework. So we've created a framework from start to finish. So it's one of them things too. The reason why we call it a challenge, we're challenging people to spend 3 days with us. Because if you come Monday and Wednesday, it's cool, but you miss Tuesday. Then you got to watch the recording. But there's something special about those that say, I'm going to tap in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because we teach it simultaneously in a row, in the flow. And so, speak S2S.com, November 11th through 13th, virtually watch it from the comfort of your home. I will tell you though, if you only have a smartphone, cool. But if you can be on your desktop, laptop, or computer for this full virtual experience, that's how you want to experience it. It's going to be special.
And again, for those of y'all who even thought about it or know that you got a message or just want to improve your speaking or your reach and your relatability with people, whatever, Speak S2S. .com. We got a special website just for our podcast listeners.
Yes.
Go there. Go ahead, Jess.
Yes. So I want to just say, so many people send me DMs because they see us, because we about to be in Cancun.
Yes, we got our mastermind.
So people be like, yo, how can I come do a mastermind? How can I get on stage with you and E.T. and Jessica? And I'm like, it starts with a virtual training.
Yeah.
Like before you fly across the country and join a mastermind, let's see if you really about that life. Spend 3 days with us. You know what I'm saying? Like people see like, yo, they winning awards and yo, you be putting people on stages and yo, I want to spend the weekend with y'all. Well, spend 3 days from the comfort of your home. Then we can see how we can build it out from there.
This is for you. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to my Patreon fam out there. Love y'all as well. Shout out to Organifi, the superfood green juice powder, keeping this podcast powered up throughout the days. Go to Organifi.com, use the promo code SUCCESS, 20% off your order for y'all newbies. Anybody? Jess has a new podcast. Let's make sure y'all go follow that, and also your social media handles, so that the people can, who aren't familiar, you know what I'm saying? They know Jeremy. Jeremy been on quite a few times, but let them know where to find you, Jess.
Yeah, so the podcast, Coach Jess. So the podcast is the Finally Healed podcast with Jessica Lundy. You can follow me at Jessica Lundy TV and at Finally Healed Pod.
Man, thank you, Jess, for coming on, because you shared a lot today.
How I didn't know all of this. How I didn't know that she
was saving it for prime time. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I'm not mad.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
There's always a day.
Yeah. Come on.
Golly.
Yeah. You saving it for prime time. You know what I'm saying? Exclusive. You know, S2S, we like to get the exclusives.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, thank you for coming on and sharing. And I know I'll be back with the Knuckleheads next week, but this was a well-needed reprieve for me. For you to bring that energy in. And again, I knew a lot of this stuff, but to finally piece it together, and then now I already had a crazy amount of respect for you, the way you connect with our students, the way you help them with their keynotes, and just keep them encouraged. Like, I'm gonna be real, we got E.T., Jeremy, Inky, myself, all the Crump, everybody in at the joint. They'll be like, man, I just want to give a big shout out to Coach Jess. They'll be like, yo, like, y'all cool, but Coach Jess is who held me down at the ground level. And so, thank you for all you do, and then thank you for pushing through, because, man, I mean, I tell you all the time, you're just getting started. Like, for real. Like, when I met Jess, I was like, oh man, she like really got that like Tabitha Brown energy of like, I never like,
that big sister,
I can say that, that big sister,
Yeah.
like. And I was like, yo, amazing things are coming for you, because you have such a pure heart. You know what I'm saying? And the way you've been pouring into the community and everything. And I know you always like, man, it was a dream come true to work with y'all. Yeah. Well, it's a dream come true for me to have individuals like yourself who come in and you selfless and you're a hard worker and you listen, you coachable, and then you coach others with that same heart. It's been amazing to coach with you. So we look forward to welcoming those of you who are ready to join the community. Speak S2S.com. Speak S2S.com. Go sign up 11th through the 13th of November. It's going down. I can't wait. This is going to be our last challenge of the year. Yep. So if you want to get yourself right, you thinking about what your 2025 plans could look like. Listen, 2025 could look totally different for you.
Yes.
It could look like the upgraded version of your life, man. But you got to get around the right people, and you got to get the right information from the right people. So, Jeremy, any church announcements for you or anything you want to say? Jeremy Anderson, y'all know we're following him on IG and all of that good stuff. Anything else?
Nah, I ain't got nothing. I'll see y'all November 11th through the 13th, if you're ready. Some of y'all might have been watching it and you might be inspired by our stories, but you're like, nah, you ain't trying to speak. Maybe you win that 90%, but if you win that 10%, like, we're going to show you how to really fight back. You don't, like E say all the time, you done went through the pain. You might as well get paid for it.
Yeah. And if y'all want to see Jeremy uncomfortable when you see him on the street, just say, "Perm!" What up? Hey, we out of here. We love y'all. We'll see you next week.
Let's go.
I want you to focus on here right now. Don't you worry about when you get home. You concentrate on this opportunity. You don't worry about tomorrow. You concentrate on this opportunity with all your might, with all your soul, with all your heart.
Thank you so much for rocking with us as always, right? We don't take it lightly, guys. And we hope that we've provided transformation and not just information. We want you to become the best version of yourself, right? Make sure you check out the show notes to access all the important links and get your product discounts. Now, one favor we're asking of you, do us this favor. Make sure you subscribe and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We want to know your feedback on how we can serve you better. And if there's anyone that you think could benefit from listening to this show, please, I'm begging you, please share it with them. And remember, as E always says, if you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful.